And we are waiting for the notification, sir. Excellent. And we are live. Excellent. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of our doubleheader this evening on Off the Record. We have a great guest, Brother Khalid Muhammad from Plainfield, New Jersey, who is the director of Muhammad University of Islam. I want to thank you and give you the greeting, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Excellent, sir. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on today to give us some information and inspiration for the work that you are doing in Plainfield, New Jersey, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Caleb, I want to first get into it. When did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I was born in the Nation of Islam. Both my parents, my father was registered in 1980 in Brooklyn, New York, and my mother came in 81.
Praise be to Allah. And can you please say your parents' names so we can have a point of reference, please?
Brother David Muhammad and Sister Leslie Muhammad.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And thank you, and thank your parents for birthing you into the nation. Why did you choose to accept the teachings once you were able to write your own letter and things of that nature?
I mean, growing up, just seeing the strength of the Nation of Islam, it was nothing else, no other choice that you could make. And the minister, he just held such a guiding light for myself and my brothers. I have 3 brothers, and it was just such a overwhelming love that he gave us that when my time came, I knew that I would be a registered Muslim in the Nation of Islam.
Praise be to Allah. That's wonderful, sir. And I'm glad that you and your brothers chose to join the ranks of the Nation of Islam. Well, what was it about your upbringing that got you into education?
Wow. Actually, education was the last thing I was getting into. My father, he would sit us down at the table. I actually wanted to be a bank consultant. I wanted to own my own bank. When I was a young boy, and that soon changed over into engineering. And I actually have a degree. I have a double majored in engineering and mathematics in college. So I have a degree in industrial and systems engineering and mathematics, and then I got a minor in education.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
So I did work in engineering for a very brief, short amount of time, and my love came into education.
Excellent. Yes, sir. I want to just, Sister Shaniqua was saying March number 25, you're born and raised, Jersey. Thank you, Sister Shaniqua. Peace, Sister Miriam. Peace is Naima. Walaikum salam, Sister Latasha. Excellent. Yes, sir. And what was it about you and your journey that decided to make you start or become the director of Muhammad University?
Wow. Well, I was in the public school system for 5 years.
I was not aware of that. How was that?
All right. So my first year, just a little backdrop. So I studied engineering. I had got a job with Colgate. So I worked with Colgate for 3 months. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. If you see how young I look right now, I'm 30. Imagine I look like 8 years ago when I graduated college. And I became a quality control manager over the operations. And I was a young black man with old white guys that had been at the job 20, 25, 30 years, and they gave me a really hard time. So I said to my mother, I said, I really don't want to do this anymore. And an opportunity came up at a charter school for me to teach engineering. And I went and I taught engineering kindergarten through 12th grade. And that was my first teaching experience. And then the high school, which I graduated from, an opportunity opened up to be a mathematics teacher. So, of course, I applied and I got the job. And I stayed there for 4 years. In my time there at Plainfield High School was an incredible experience. The children, the public school system, dealing with our children, when they get the right educator, it could really bring out the best in them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it got to the point with the public education system that you can only do so. And I felt like I said one day, I said to one of the other staff members, I felt like I was in the Titanic and it was going down, and I was on a lifeboat and I could only save so many. So I wanted to actually not change the narrative, of being in control of the narrative. So actually, it was student minister Abdul Haq Muhammad in Newark, New Jersey. He said to me maybe 3 months prior to me making the decision, he said, "Brother, you ever think about, coming and opening up Muhammad University of Islam?" And I said, "Brother, a lot of things will have to come into place for that to happen." I said, the stars would have to align. I mean, I was in a really good position where I was teaching and everything, but the turning point was I actually had a stroke. Yeah, I had a stroke at the age of, this is 3 years now, at the age of like 28.
Yes, sir.
And I was at the job when it happened. And I went to the hospital from the job, and I was laying in bed, and the thought came back of the conversation I had with student minister Abdul Haq about opening up Muhammad University of Islam. And so I called him up from the hospital. My wife was a witness. Called him up from the hospital, and I told him, set the meeting up. So I left the hospital Friday. Saturday, Dr. Bettina down in Phoenix, she actually was in New Jersey. So she saw me. She did she did a checkup on me, and she said she never saw a healthy. She said I was the healthiest sick person she's ever met. So that Saturday, I saw Dr. Bettina. That Sunday, I was at Muhammad Mosque number 25 in Newark, New Jersey, having a meeting with the laborers about opening up Muhammad University of Islam. And from there, the rest is history.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for your sacrifice, not only of your, business, but of your financial security, but going into independence, independent school system for Muhammad University. That's a huge sacrifice and a huge honor and a reward. I hope, may Allah bless you in your effort.
To Allah. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, walaikum salam to Brother Daniel. Walaikum salam, Brother Maurice. Okay, excellent. Yes, sir. And what is the difference that you've seen as far as teaching young men versus young women?
Young men versus young women?
Yes, sir.
In the public school system or Muhammad University?
Muhammad University.
Wow. So one of the big staples of being at Muhammad University of Islam is the discipline that we're able to give our students, not just inside the classroom, but from the moment they enter the door to the moment they leave the door. We really do, and it's so cliche today, but control the narrative. How their conversation, is a more Islamic conversation. But in particular between the boys and the girls, I see at Muhammad University of Islam, the young men really gravitate towards, we have a lot of males on staff.
Okay.
And that was one thing that I didn't see myself, even growing up in the school system. Males, and in this case, black males at that.
Yes, sir.
So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have about 6 staff members that are brothers. And not just teaching drill and things like that, but brothers are actually in the classroom, math teachers.
Yes, sir.
English teachers.
Okay.
The Islamic studies instructor. So just for them to see black males in the classroom, I think is really big for our boys. And then on the side of the girls, just for them to see MGT when they walk into the school, from the moment they walk in to the end that they walk in, and see the modest dress and to see how they conduct themselves throughout the day, is really great examples for our boys and our girls at the school.
Praise be to Allah. That's a beautiful thing. Did you ever attend Muhammad University, or did you always attend public school?
I always attended public school.
Okay, yes, sir. Excellent. What has been your greatest trial being an educator? Or not necessarily being an educator, being the director of Muhammad University of Islam. What has been your greatest trial so far? And how did you overcome that?
Wow. I would say the greatest trial is to galvanize Black people. And I think that's something that's just in general for us overall. Sometimes we have to be sold the idea that something is good for us. And, you know, this is our third year that we're going into. When we first opened the doors of Muhammad University of Islam, we had 13 students. You know, and we just closed out our second year with 60.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
But every step of the way it's been, you know, a brother said to me once, he said, brother, you know, you really don't have to sell the school. You just got to show a product. So we focus more on the product of producing a not superior student, but a great student.
Yes, sir.
And in producing great students, we have brought in more students because of that.
That's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful. And on behalf of myself and my family, we are very inspired by watching you all, the clips that you post, and just me and all my siblings and I all went to Muhammad University of Islam for some time period, or other private Muslim schools. So we rooting for y'all because we know the challenges. So we definitely rooting for you. What is the greatest joy of you being the director? What has it been being the director of Muhammad University?
Well, I would say to some, my decision, although it was for the whole, it was a little piece that was selfish as well, because right before I left public school, my son was getting of age to start school, and I didn't send him to public school. And being that we didn't have a Muhammad University of Islam, I actually was just going to homeschool him. And then I was going to deal with all the financial parts on the back end, but I had to figure out a way to get my son and my other children, I have 3 children, to get my children into a school that they're taught about themselves and about the God that we serve.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think my biggest thing right now that I'm just so proud of is my son.
Praise be to Allah. That's beautiful.
He'll be going into his 3rd year at Muhammad University of Islam. And he just turned 5 in June. And he's operating like at a 2nd grade level.
Praise be to Allah.
Just to see the growth and development. And he's not even the exception. There's actually students his age that are a little bit above him or doing the same. So it's not that that's the only product that we're producing, but just to have out of my household, my son is doing well. It feels good.
Praise be to Allah, as it should. Yes, sir, as it should. I want to say that this episode is brought to you by my sister Miriam's book, ABC I Love Me. For everyone who's watching this on Amazon. My brother, Politically Oppressed, and his business partner Jamal have a video editing company, Street Premiere. Thank you all for your sponsorship. And my second book, which is a children's book, Cleopatra, is on Amazon as well. Thank you all for your support. Boom. My sister Naima said, "How do you balance your director role and your family life?"
Woo. I'm really just getting, I've been married 6 years now. And I'll be honest, this year has probably been my biggest growth in both my family life and my, I guess you say career. But, you know, it's just communication. And, you know, some will say that they don't have time, but we find things we care about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excellent. Okay. Boom. Well, my question is, what advice would you give to future husbands?
Listen to your wife, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, seriously. There's actually something I found that I knew about prior to, but I'm actually just starting to take it on myself. But the love language. There are 5 different love languages.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you know, there's one way that we perceive how we want to be loved. But when you have a spouse, you also have to find out how they want to be loved.
Yes, sir.
And if you're loving them the wrong way, you're going to have a hard way to go. So, you know, you might want to get that out in the open to figure out how they want to be loved and how you want to be loved. And it's going to help marriage.
Wonderful. That's great advice. And I'm glad you brought that up. Now, for the listening or the viewing audience, we would definitely do a podcast very shortly on the 5 love languages. So everybody get ready. Okay. Thank you for that. Yes, sir. And what advice It made me feel proud to see the joy in your voice and in your face to talk about your son, and you're saying you're a proud father of three. What advice would you give to future fathers?
You know, we as fathers, you know, the black man he gets a very bad rap. He gets a very bad rap. As fathers, there was one thing I knew that I always wanted to be when I grew up, and that was a father. And my father, he had gotten sick. So a lot of things that fathers would do, you know, play ball with their children, things like that. I didn't really experience that growing up. So I knew when I became a father, that's something that I would want to do. So I try to stay as healthy as possible.
Yes, sir.
So that, I could do those things with my children.
Yes, sir.
But it's time. That's one of the biggest things that you don't want to lose with your children. Every opportunity that you're with them, you're listening to them. Our children are very brilliant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The more that I feed my children, the more I see a greater expression of not just Islam, but what they can produce themselves. And then having a vision for your children, put them around things that help them to experience what they would like to be. We actually had career day at Muhammad University of Islam. And I asked my son, well, what you want to be for career day? He said, I want to be an engineer. I said, where'd you get that from? He said, aren't you an engineer, Daddy? So just the fact that he heard it, it gives him some type of line to go into.
Yes,
and, you know, my wife, she's a nurse. So my wife got my daughter a nurse outfit. I said, my daughter's name is Jayana. I said, Jayana, what are you? She was like, I'm a doctor. I was like, okay, you're not a nurse? She said, no, I'm not a nurse. I'm a doctor. I said, okay, all right. That's good. So, you know, but just giving our children those experiences. So, you know, every child at the school might have been dressed up something different. So they are all able to talk to each other, say, oh, what are you doing? So just that in itself. So exposing your children to those things.
Excellent. Wonderful. I have two more questions, and thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to Off the Record on YouTube. With our brother, the director of Muhammad University of Islam in New Jersey, Brother Khalid Muhammad. Thank you for you all who are just tuning in. My next question is, you were a student laborer at one point, a very young student laborer. What was that like? Because that was very inspirational to a lot of people as well, to see you serving in that capacity and just moving out.
Allahu Akbar. When I graduated from college, before I went to college, Minister Kareem Muhammad, you know, he was the minister over New York for many years. He was East Coast regional minister. He actually lives in Plainfield. So I went, and he's my godfather. So I went and sat down with him before I went off to college. He said, so you going to college? I said, yes, sir. So he asked me a few questions. He said, what are you going to study? So I'm going to study engineering. He said, very good, very good. And then the next question he asked me, he said, well, how are you going to bring that back to our nation? So I was like, you know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He said, okay, very good. He said, there was a time that when Muslims wanted to go to college, they would have to sit down with their laborers and ask for permission. And I said to him, I said, wow, I didn't know that. He said, well, brother, I think you're going to do great things for our nation. Go to college and let's help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I went off to college. And when I graduated, I said, wow, it's time for me to give back to my nation. So when I came back to the mosque, I was just willing to help in any capacity I could help it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And actually, I was actually the first officer for a year before I became the captain. And our student regional captain, Brother Majid Muhammad, he came to the mosque and he made me the captain.
Praise be to Allah.
Made me the captain. So I was 25 when I became the captain. And at the time, I would go to the captain's retreat and I would look around. There's a lot of salt and pepper in the room, man.
Exactly.
Salt and pepper are just skin.
Yes, sir.
And I was the youngest captain in the nation.
Yes, sir.
And it was a lot of hard work. And I learned to prove myself really through my leadership. And, you get a lot of different advice on how to become or be a laborer rather. But the best advice I would give to anyone becoming a laborer is be you. Because it's going to be genuine. You can't captain like someone else captains. You can't minister the same way someone else ministers.
Yes, sir.
You have to bring a perspective and an expression that Allah gives you. And that was something that I learned. It was a couple of years, and I've always been a pretty good student. So my learning curve was pretty quick, but it was a lot that I learned in that short period of time.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Elijah says he agrees 100%. Brother Daniel said that's good history and always contributes to the Nation of Islam. And walaikum salam, sister, walaikum salam, or brother Matina. Yes, sir. Thank you all. Yes, sir. My last question is for those who parents who want to put their children in private education that may not have a Muhammad University in their city, what would you recommend for them?
Start one.
Yes, sir.
Man, the killing fields are just increasing and increasing for our children in the public schools. There are some that want to get in and, try to change things from the inside, but Allah is taking this whole thing out. And it's best for us to create or do what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has asked us to do. Do for self or suffer the consequences. But there are places in terms of independent education that is existing, and MUIs are growing, man, they're popping up left and right. I was so inspired when LA opened theirs up. I was like, man, this is incredible. So, there are a lot more that are going to be popping up, inshallah, in the very near future. But, whatever we don't have, create. Whatever we need, do. Don't wait for someone else to do what we could do for ourselves.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Brother Khalid. I want to thank you on behalf of myself and my family for your sacrifice and putting in work and the heart that it took to open up a Muhammad University of Islam. I mean, that's strong, brother. And we're rooting for you, rooting for your family. And may Allah continue to bless you all in the work that you do in the school system and in the streets and in society as well. Thank you for coming on.
All praise due to Allah. I like to give a thank you to all the staff at Muhammad University of Islam, all the teachers, all the security, the brothers, the sisters, the believers. Muhammad University of Islam here in New Jersey is consisted of all 3 mosques in our local area, all 45 minutes apart from each other. So Muhammad Mosque number 80 here in Plainfield, New Jersey, Muhammad Mosque number 85 in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and Muhammad Mosque number 25 in Newark, New Jersey. So I would like to thank all the believers for all that they give to Muhammad University of Islam, keeping our doors open and bringing and supporting us through their children and everything that they do. I also would like to thank my beautiful wife for all that she does in supporting me and the family. It's definitely been a team effort. And of course, to my mother, Sister Leslie Muhammad, that is one of my greatest cheerleaders. I thank you so much. And to my brothers that support me, my brother Joshua, which he was down in Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
Brother Salim and my brother Isaiah. It's definitely a family effort. And a special shout out to Student Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad, my great brother. He really is a great helper of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I really appreciate him for his indefatigable nature that he has. He really fights hard for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sir, and thank everyone that you also named. I love you, Brother Khalid, and may Allah bless you and your family.
I love you too, sir.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.